discussion on democratizing software development with low-code and no-code. This discussion will bring together experts who are at the forefront of this revolution, sharing how LCNC platforms are enabling broader participation in software development. To moderate this discussion, I'm pleased to invite Mr. Amal, founder of TheDigifac, to the stage. Let's welcome him with a warm round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Well, thank you so much, sir, for joining us for the panel discussion as well. I would also like to invite Mr. Vikram Jayaram, founder and CEO of NeuraliX.ai, to the stage. Round of applause. Ms. Parul Ghosh, Executive Director, Head of Engineering Enablement at Wells Fargo. Welcome, ma'am. Mr. Seerapu Krishna, CEO at FlintLab and ShiftLeft Infosec. Welcome, everyone. I would now like to hand over to Mr. Amal to take the proceedings further. Thank you.
You've done a fantastic job. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Amal, and welcome to this panel discussion about democratizing software using low-code and no-code. At the outset, VSR, it's already half the job done. So you have started out from the history of all the generations, and then your slide talks about AI, what it can do. So much of AI, it's on me, so what low-code, no-code platforms do. So I think already I understand that you'll understand what is low-code, no-code platforms, what it can do. So thank you AP Digital Summit for this opportunity, and thank you panelists for being here. So without further ado, let's get into the session. So I think just to set the context, we have been talking about high code on one end, low code on the other end, and no code in between, and what they can do, what they cannot do. So I think fairly it's been discussed now, also in line with the AP Digital Summit. Let's try to put the summit's theme into the context of how it can also align into the AP's vision of being a digital hub workforce for the future. So the way we would like to do it is, we have around 3-4 simple themes. So we'll have the panelists give their views and we'll discuss, so that a lot of insight gets generated for our audience. So let me start with the first question. This is to VSR. So how do you see low-code, no-code platforms addressing the digital divide in the underrepresented, especially when you're talking about governments and individuals, not just large organizations? How do you see low-code, no-code platforms addressing that digital divide?
Okay, so I think I did not mention in my presentation, one of the super benefits of the low-code, no-code is even a common person. I think our MC just mentioned, I also understand as a non-technical person, that itself Harshita, right? Harshita explained. So even as a non-technical person, one of the reasons why LCNC platforms are developed is, even you don't have the software coding knowledge, you can develop the software applications. What does it mean? Till today, there is a digital divide. Who knows the coding only can develop the software applications. Now what we are saying, you don't need to know what are the software coding required. Without knowing also, you can develop the software applications. Technically, that name is called citizen developers. I mean, another jargon we are introducing from IT perspective or technology perspective.
Gartner did that a long time.
Absolutely. They used to call shadow IT. Okay, in the past they used to call shadow IT. That means without the knowledge of the technology people, without the knowledge of
to create applications. In fact, they created some beautiful applications where they demonstrated how they understood how gases made and how their science projects were translated into gamification. So a lot of those things can be done. If you have a good idea, you could translate it, you could make a card and you could do a shopping, one-click shopping solution. So that is the power that people get, and once you get that power and confidence, then you can slowly get onto more complicated technologies and learn coding and you understand logic better.
Thanks, Parul. It's interesting because we have seen, in our journeys or in our experience, we have seen homemakers trying to automate some of their common activities, the business people trying to automate their paper processes. We have seen bakers trying to learn and how do they improve and get into the mainstream of software. I think in the context of this AP government's vision, I think the underrepresented communities, it gives them access to technology which earlier the barriers were high. We've looked at various models where some of them are open source, free technology, you can start, try before you buy. I think this makes it equitable to get access to this technology and reduce the barrier. Maybe more so from the no-code, and may I ask Dr. Jayaram to shed a few more light. He's been on the education side of things, he's an innovator, he's a professor, he's runs the NeuraliX, so I'd like to hear your thoughts. Okay.
Thank you, Amal, and it's a real pleasure to be here on this dais with such esteemed panelists and talk about this very important topic. One of the things that I could really relate to what Parul just said was the example of how this could be done. I recently hired a student from computer science from Virginia Tech. She joined my company there in Dallas, and there was a very sudden requirement of changing our website into doing a few things, and she has never done front end before at all. And so one of the things was that how do we actually very quickly be able to utilize people from different skill sets to be able to solve problems like this. So we quickly designed a Figma for her, and she had to use some of these low-code engines that converts Figma into a UI code. It was done in a matter of minutes, and the problem was solved. So you can see that there are many such examples that keep on coming in our daily lives today, wherein the low-code, no-code engines have really been remarkable in solving problems like this. So that was one of the examples that I just wanted to kind of bring out.
Thank you, Doctor. And may I ask your views, Krishna?
I think everyone pretty much covered this stuff, but I really like what Parul mentioned, right? See, now you know there are a lot of gated communities, right? There are a lot of people who are jobless and sitting idle. Even you want to start a home food business, right? I want to just create an interface and sell within my community, right? There are a lot of opportunities. So what I really say is, if you really define the purpose and see how it exactly fits into your business model, just make it happen. Just go it and implement it. Simple. And anything, right? Even you can automate your expenses. Just start from that, and then you can see the power of it.
Yeah, thank you everyone. I think to summarize this, I think we have a lot of students. I think low-code, no-code platforms can enable you. It's more like a tool. When you're doing a college projects, you like to build a future-ready skill. I think it can really be a powerful tool for you all to experiment and get some real problem solving done without having to worry so much about the technology underlying. So that's the key takeaway I'd like to address here. And now moving on to the next question, Krishna. What are the key challenges that you see that organizations are facing, and how can they overcome when it comes to the no-code platforms?
I think this question varies a lot. I think VSL pretty much covered it, right? So it's mainly
VSL covered everything.
I think it's basically because these are the common issues, right? Basically, like as I mentioned, if you're building a small web page to sell the home food or some curries in your gated community, nobody cares. But if you're building an enterprise application, that comes with a lot of complaints in government. So this is where I said, like, you define the purpose first, then it'll let you know what needs to be implemented and how it's need to be done. So for example, like if you see, I'm also a CEO for the ShiftLeft company, which provides security solutions, which when you implement a low code, no code, you need to have this security compliance things done, IT governance things done. So that are the major challenges, the legacy integrations, right? So these are the major challenges I see that you need to think through before picking low code, no code platforms. So if it's a quick prototype, like as I said, like, hey, I want to build this UI feature and see how it looks like, and I want to iterate, that's absolutely fine, but that is not the product. Right?
So I'll just move to VSR. So in your previous segment, you talked about humanity, a different perspective, saying that it's not just reducing cost, that was the previous version. Now we are talking about inclusive humanity, which also means that non-IT people, business people can contribute to software development. So there, what specific challenges do you see and how can they address?
See, I think the humanity is not really involving non-technical people. The humanity angle means when you develop or when you bring innovations in our industry or in our businesses, what is the purpose of that innovation? It's only for profit, or it is only for productivity, or it is only for revenue generation? No. So that's where when you call humanity, I also need to factor what is the impact of my solutions on environment, sustainability. Right? Are you considering the human emotions when you are designing the solutions? Are you considering empathy when you are designing the solutions? It doesn't matter whether it is a low code, no code, or high code, or whatever it is. When you talk about humanity, so what point I am trying to bring out here is, even you develop LCNC, whatever the software code, whether these humanity angles are integrated in that or not becoming a very, very prominent going forward. That means you are designing a solution, just transaction is complete. I always tell one example, when you call the help desk guys, there are two ways of handling it, right? You call them, they reply you very rudely, but the transaction is complete. But emotionally you are upset, you got angry, all those, and that is called the emotional angle. So the LCNC platforms also must integrate humanity, empathy, sustainability practices in the form of templates and in the form of design or in the form of workflows. I don't know. Those things also needs to be factored.
Yeah, Krishna.
So I really like the point of empathy and thing, but I think that should be the culture of the company to build that kind of product. So purpose again.
Innovation must be, that's what I said. In the fifth industrial revolution, if you read, innovation must have a purpose. Most of our innovations are to generate more revenue, to add value to customer, and to increase our share value. That is the purpose of the innovation till fourth industrial revolution. In addition to that, your innovation purpose must be humanity. If you don't bring these things, humanity, empathy, emotion, sustainability, it's a matter of 25 years, we'll get into so many other problems. Last four industrial revolutions, you saw how the planet Earth became today, right? So you have to be careful. That's where fifth industrial revolution touches all those things.
So Parul, I'd like to ask you a very specific question with respect to the governance. You have been building engineering teams, doing a lot of innovation. I mean, you pioneered BT&BT even 15-20 years ago. So how do you see with the event of this low code, what challenges have you seen coming up in this journey? And how have you addressed them?
Yeah, I'm delighted that you asked how would we address it, because every problem has a solution.
Sure.
So if you are able to get 43% of a workforce, that's what Gartner says. Gartner says that the citizen developers are 43% of the organization. If that's the workforce that we need and they are going to come in, obviously we are going to have some challenges. We are going to have challenges of too many things not being monitored. You could have another problem with low code, no code is that they are a system by themselves. They do not fall into the whole CI/CD and the enterprise governance pipelines, which are really to be followed. And the larger the organizations, these things have to be more matured. Otherwise, you can create disasters. So that's where you need some structure and hierarchy in an organization. You need a governance model, you need a matured enterprise pipeline. The enterprise pipelines have to have certain customizations where these low code, no code have to be embedded in as the governance that you inspect before they actually go to production. Another good way of doing it is having a center of excellence. The center of excellence not just helps in accelerating but also getting in the best practices across the organizations, telling everybody what's the right thing to follow. So I think these two things I have seen which work reasonably well, but they're very, very important. Otherwise, this friend will become a demon in future. So very important.
You'll have too many loose ends. Sure, yes.
So with this low code, no code you call citizen development or shadow IT, the conflicts between business and technology should not shoot up. The reason is very simple. Like she said, business guys will start doing whatever they want because now you got even your business users able to develop small components, software and all, uncontrollable. The central technology organization doesn't know. It is a black box for the central technology organization. Business guys are in a hurry. Why I need to depend on these technology guys? Let me develop. One fine day you end up having every department, 20, 30, 40 like that. You will have hundreds of applications and software which is not in the mainstream of the technology organization. Then you will get into major crisis. That's why she said, a proper governance, even business have to do. There must be some approval process. Okay, you can do this, you cannot do this. Those things have to be defined properly.
I think the center of excellence model has been working out in the industry quite well. I think you develop a framework for governance and let project teams look at the projectized things, whereas the core components, the interfaces, the security, the horizontals are taken care by the center of excellence.
It's a governance and responsibilities have to be clear. There is a proper mechanism what citizen developers can do, what they cannot do. It's not like everything you can do.
I think in the context of AP government, I'm just thinking if you have to implement low code, no code in a government organization, what kind of checks one would have to put in? Because there's a lot of scope for getting business developers or employees to develop or generate a lot of value. So I leave you with all that thought.
Yeah. In platform engineering, there's this whole concept of IDPs, internal developer platforms. So that's where these things have to get integrated as something which can get into the mainstream rather than being a system in silos. And I think IT has to start looking at citizen developers in slightly different contexts. If we are keen on doing mundane jobs by ourselves, changing certain screens and then spending another 3 months after that change the screen again, that's probably not the best use of yours. So we could look at them as somebody who is able to take away those mundane activities from us and probably get us an opportunity to create more Lego blocks for them. That's how I see the role of IT. IT can make those Lego blocks and let the citizen developer play with those Lego blocks.
Compose them like Lego bricks to build new composable software. So, Dr. Jayaram, you are a founder of a NeuraliX. I mean, you've been a pioneer in that field. You've been an educator also. I mean, when you want to do complex things, I think we have heard VSR say that you can't really do really complex stuff in using low-code, no-code platforms. The lines are blurring, things are changing, but how do you see that when you want to address complex problems with low-code, no-code platforms?
So certainly a great question there, once again. One of the areas wherein to solve the more complex problems is you've got to make sure that your visualizations in many of these applications become really powerful. They are telling the story of the data. And for that, if I take an example of, let's say you're monitoring certain equipments very remotely, like let's say an offshore platform, Gulf of Mexico, and you're looking at certain features such as when the well is going to fail. This is a hydrocarbon well, and you got to really be monitoring all these signals very quickly. a low-code, no-code engine can go in there and be able to provide that kind of story, 360-degree view of that web very effectively. If it does that, then you have a way to communicate, you have a way to build the science around it, you have a way to put business processes, operation processes behind it to start predicting what is going to happen, what kind of failures are coming, what kind of prognostic management, health management that you have to do with such interference that you have to do when it comes to these equipments are concerned. And the data and the visualization, if they are taught very well on some of these no-code engines, provide the kind of visualizations to the highest degree, you will see great things come out of it. So that's one of the ways of it.
To answer your question, the Andhra Pradesh perspective, let me spend some time. Can we have a target of 50,000 citizen developers in Andhra Pradesh by 2029? Okay, we have 5 crore population. So I am saying 50,000 population from the citizens. Can we have the developers? Can we have the target for Andhra Pradesh? First point. Okay. For that to happen, in my view, we need to find maybe people with the STEM background, the science, technology, mathematics, a little bit. I'm not saying a farmer can simply go and then drag and drop and all. Okay, there are so many homemakers with a STEM background and all. Okay, just identify them, train them. That is second part. Third part, in fact, 2014-19, I was very active, but not now. So, okay, so can the state government release the APIs and the data, okay, anonymously and also accessible to the, like she said, Legos? Can we have the components, I think, designed by the AP government, the IT department, they call still IT, they have to rename it technology department, standards, governance and all, use these 50,000 people, get portfolio of, whether you call it as a Gen AI chatbots or virtual assistants or the simple software code, and use it for the citizen services or government operations. I think that is what, in my view, the true citizen development or true citizen developers will happen. Have a target of 50,000 by 2028. How, what and all we can discuss later.
Interestingly, that leads me to the next question. I think this was framed with the context of students and AP's government of building a potent workforce. Because for the innovation we want to do, we are highly understaffed and a lot of potential. So that brings me to the question. I'll ask Professor I would like to address him as Professor Jayaram because he's also done that. He's been running a lot of MOUs with a lot of universities, mentoring students. So in the context of AP government, how can government policies and academic programs drive LCNC? You try to address it. So
one thing is incentivizing that. And there is nothing wrong in that. There is no reason or there is no feeling, there is no emotions there should be that every time traditional development is the way to go. I feel that there is a lack of that incentivization required for utilizing LCNC engines. And if that could be done very effectively, whether it is in the universities, and as well as in the corporate side of the institutions, I feel that that's one area wherein we could be doing better.
I think there are a few things. First is awareness. Creating that awareness that there are these technologies, as Lokesh sir and all the dignitaries were saying, that you always don't need to think about AI. You need to think that there are other tools to cut the onion and cut the potato. You don't need to get a sword to do that. So first is that creating that awareness of such technologies and then promoting them, as he said, incentivize it and create that whole system where people feel motivated to do those things, create gamifications, create hackathons, let them collaborate with startups. Amal, you have a startup where you are teaching those. So if those kind of collaborations happen, if the students get a chance to have a brilliant idea and participate in a hackathon using such platforms and showcase some results, that's going to be marvelous, because that not just boosts up the confidence, it gets a new set of ideas on the in front of the leadership, which could be then utilized.
I think one more point is my view. In the academic institutions, they can set up the LCNC Center of Excellence. I'm not talking about Center of Excellence within the organizations. And you also invite, when I was in Tech Mahindra, for example, the married woman who stopped doing the job, after 2 years they want to get into the job, we started one initiative. Who all got married and got the kids and they stopped working, but they want to work now. So you have to invite, like she said, motivate and inspire the homemakers. Because of some constraints, they are sitting at home. That's one. And they are STEM based and all. These centers of excellence, not only for the students in the college and institutions, even in the district, whoever the homemakers are there, should become a hub for training. They can go back and do a lot of works. So the 50,000 target, I am saying, another way of implementing this.
Krishna, your thoughts?
We should take questions.
Okay. Well, I have one more question before we take questions. So I think the government is talking of skills university in Visakhapatnam and in Tirupati, and they also have education institute, at least higher education institutes are having innovation councils which are supported by Startup India and others. So I think some groundwork is happening. I think it's a matter of awareness and evangelizing it, and also from students know that these low-code tech platforms are available to learn, and then incentivizing them and all, I think will help that 50,000 magic numbers.
I think that target should be there, the goal. I fundamentally believe the homemakers can do wonderful job. Okay, even after probably you say that
They are already doing wonderful
12th standard, so 12th standard and above, I think we can really prepare them.
Yeah, okay. So I think this is the last question in this segment. Parul, how can low-code, no-code platforms complement traditional software development so that they can enhance scalability and drive deep tech innovations? At the end of the day, we are talking about deep tech. So
We have to talk of AI, correct? It's mandated. It's mandated. Okay, so I think there are two parts to it. Can they help with the legacy systems? In fact, they were created to help legacy systems. They were created to bridge the gap between systems which are outdated, which you do not want to invest in. RPA was a good example where you have systems, you just want to have a bandage, or you want to have a system overlapping it, because you cannot go and change those. They are so old. So most of our systems, most of the low-code, no-codes are predominantly created to really bridge the gaps. They have great integration touch points, they have APIs, they have connectivities, so that you can go and talk to various systems, orchestrate and do intelligent things, as we were talking of, correct? There's lots of things that happen as a part of a whole workflow and orchestration, intelligent decision, document processing. Tons of things that it will help you to do. Now, coming to the second part of your question, where the cutting edge things that are happening in this space. So there are two things to it. One is a whole new concept of boat, which Gartner coined last year. If you all see, especially those who have heard about these kind of technologies, there has been a massive overlap between a lot of the tools. Whether you talk of the workflows, you talk of the IDPs, you talk of RPAs, workflows. Yeah, they all have overlaps, and the low-code, no-codes. They are doing something similar. In some areas, some of these products are extremely good, and some of them have a mediocre solution. So there is going to be a huge vendor consolidation that is going to happen, or the product feature consolidation that is going to happen in the market. That's one thing, and that's what Gartner is calling it as BOT, that is business orchestration and automation technologies. So you will see now one product which does all these things. Now the second thing that is going to happen is in context to AI. The fact that AI is really coming in, everybody wants to be in it, and everybody is creating their roadmaps around it. Now the roadmaps are predominantly to cater to multiple things that the customer would need. Either the customer would need access to LLMs, which are obviously available in the market, and get connectivities to those LLMs, or it is...
Sorry, I think we are running out of time.
We are running out of time.
Yeah. But okay, I think just if you have to sum up, I mean, may I have one key takeaway for our audience from each one of you that they can take it as an actionable item?
To me, if you are a student, go read about low-code, no-codes, find out some of the open source products that are available, and just dip your hand into it. Get going with those technologies, think of your college project and do it. It's really fun. And if you have younger siblings, start with scratch. So those are a few ways, and if you are already in the industry with experience, pick up any of those products, solve some of your business case and show it to your boss. I'm sure they would be delighted with what you have, how proactively you have done things, and it may open some new windows for you.
Thank you, Parul.
I think enabling rapid prototyping is one of the key areas for low-code, no-code engines. Number two, you've got to have a way to bring in cross-disciplinary teams together. So if you have to do that, obviously one of the areas which I think our folks need to focus on is the area of looking at data from a forensic mindset. If you look at it from a forensic mindset and forget about for a second what tool you want to apply, and be able to slice, and we have the ability to slice and dice to the data, because ultimately it's the data itself that's solving the problems of the industry. And you want to get quick answers from it without really accelerating your CapEx and OpEx on top of it. So having that fundamental skill to be able to dig through the data, be able to get forensics out of it, be able to build causality, such a way that you're answering the most important business questions of the industry is one of the most prominent skills to have, which you can then say that story on top of a low-code, no-code engine. So I feel that that's one area that we are lacking in today. That has been taught in the universities and colleges, and I feel there's a lot more stress to be put on those areas.
Thank you, Doctor.
So I personally feel I don't encourage low-code, no-code in the academic institutions too much. I don't want them to become dumb. Okay, they have to work in future. 35 years career is there. So I think they have to put a threshold, 60-40 or 70-30. 70% they have to work on traditional. They have to learn how to code. They have to learn how to debug, how to test it, how to deploy it, and all. They have to get hands-on experience. The low-code, no-code is like without having a mobile phone, even I don't remember the phone number of my spouse today. That's the problem, right?
And a big thank you to all our esteemed panelists here for the engaging and insightful discussion and helping us to be able to envision a future where software development becomes more accessible, efficient, and collaborative. Thank you so much for that. We will take a moment now to felicitate our moderator and panelists, for which I would like to invite Mr. Kapil, Quantum AI Global, to the stage to present the token of appreciation. Welcome, sir. We'll start with our moderator, Mr. Amal. Next, can we please invite Mr. Vikram Jayaram to step forward? Ms. Parul Ghosh, please accept our token of appreciation. Mr. Seerapu Krishna Reddy, please step forward. joining the session again. Could you all please step forward for a group photograph?